Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. It's 2026, and I'm Amy Warren, and this is 9 to 5 Nightmares.
I'm Micole Garatti, and we talk about misconduct so you can avoid it.
And we're starting out the year off with something that I want everyone just kind of pause and listen to what this is, because if you don't know about it, chances are you're going to find out about it sooner rather than later, and we want to give you the heads up on it. So, what's happening right now on X, Twitter, is people are using their AI to take photos of people, primarily women and children, and the AI is then generating nudes of them and can adjust them, do different things to them. And then people are sharing these photographs online. It is a big problem right now. And
Yeah,
there's nothing that's being done to stop this. So, Micole, jump
yeah,
in because this is
yeah.
interesting.
People have been using X's AI Grok to, like you were saying, take photos of perfectly normal photos of people and then alter them without the person's consent. And a lot of that is being done to women, children, at scale. And so what's happening is there have been researchers in Dublin, all over the world, have been looking into this because they're starting to notice this happen more and more. And they were saying that like at nearly three quarters, nearly 75% of the post are from around for Grok are around this doing this to people. And so it's being done at scale. It's being done to all different kinds of people. This is really a mass sexual harassment and sexually explicit extortion of people because they're
Yep.
using them for specific harm. And just this is what, yeah, I just have no word. It's just disgusting. It's
And I think for our listeners out there, the reason that this is, number one, it's important for you to just know that this is going on. And
yeah,
number two, um, it's going to become even more important for you to be screening people's public social media because um, you may now find instances of people sharing these kinds of images, engaging in these kinds of images. And not only do you want to know that somebody has a willingness to do this and the risk that that could be in your workplace if they do something like this to
yeah,
a colleague, a fellow employee, even if it's not even in the workplace, but just that they're doing it and then they send it to somebody in your workplace. That is
yeah.
huge, huge harassment exposure, huge level of risk. And we
Yeah.
really want to make sure that everyone's on understanding this, that this is going on.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
not only does this raise the definite concerns of, yes, you should be screening your candidates, right, that are coming
Yeah.
in, but this is also, in my mind, a five-alarm fire for risk because of the scale that's happening. You hear about what Micole said. Up to 75% of the images generated on this tool or this type of content.
Yeah.
Um,
And when I'm talking about scale, Amy, one additional reports from what I was reading said that like almost 7,000 photos can be created like this per hour. Per hour. Like that's the level of scale that is happening.
and they're using
Almost
people's likeness, right? So this is a photo of a real person. This is
a
not
real
people that
person
are
that was
AI
not
digitally
right.
created, right?
Right. A real person that posted a regular photo of themselves that is now being turned into bikini pics, nudes, whatever the person wants it to be. Like I'm struggling for words right now because it is just so disgusting. And the more I was looking into this, like I have had issues with people taking my image off of my personal accounts and using them for other places. And it's one of the reasons why I stopped sharing photos of myself on places. And I know that if I did have children and one of them had this issue where somebody was doing this to them, that would Like
Well,
I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't even
you're talking
imagine.
about so many different levels of this, right?
Well, there's so many different levels
There
to it.
are,
Like,
and I will say, it's funny you're bringing your own personal experience. And maybe it's because of the work that we do, or just maybe
yeah,
it's because I'm in marketing, right? My husband and I made a personal decision years ago to not put any photos of our kids online.
it's smart. It's
And
smart.
and people would criticize us for this, right? And we would just ignore it, like whatever, right?
Right.
But now, like I never would have anticipated that we would be in a place where, you know, 10 years ago when we made this decision
Right.
that we would now be in a moment where something like this could happen. This had never, ever, ever crossed my mind
Yeah.
that this would be the use case. So
Yeah.
I think, we're devoting a lot of time on this particular episode to this issue because I think it's a workplace issue, but it's also a human issue.
A
And
hundred percent.
want everybody to be aware that this is going on
Yeah.
and the level of risk associated with this in your workplace.
Yeah.
I mean, God, like, could you just imagine, like, what is the harassment going to look like this week? It's, you just got an email from, one of your managers with a complaint because, one of their coworkers is posting nudes of them or sexually
Oh my
explicit
God.
images of them. And what if they put it on a public Slack channel? Right? I mean, like
Right.
these are steps that are not far from this. This is not things that with the scale of this that's happening right
Yeah.
now. It's not, we always say this, it's
Yeah.
not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so,
Yeah.
everyone that we're talking to right now who's listening to us, in the HR space, be mindful of this. Start having these conversations internally that this could definitely be a possibility and a challenge. And I would say too, your all of your policies should already be hitting on this. This should not
Right.
be an issue
Right.
at all with your policies. And Micole and I talk about this all the time. You know, dust off that code of conduct. Make
Yeah.
sure your social media policy, make sure your harassment policy, right?
Right.
There's no loopholes in this. If you have an
No.
inside counsel right now, put a
Yeah.
10-minute meeting on your inside counsel's calendar and just sit down and talk to them and just make them aware of
Yeah.
this risk because
Yeah.
it's only going to continue to grow, unfortunately, because right now, nothing's being done to stop it. And here's the sad part. The sad part is it's not hard to make it so that these images can't be made.
Yeah, no, it's not hard at all. And I think the other thing too is like this could also be a moment where HR says, hey, maybe we retrain our employees maybe on what our code of conduct is. Maybe we sit everyone down and we say, if you do this, this violates these 17 policies in our handbook and you will be terminated immediately. You need a protocol for this. Maybe you need to remind people of what the protocol is that you already have, which should already cover this. But it's definitely a moment to stop and think and check in with legal, check in with your
Yep.
employees because, like Amy said, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
And I also think too, if you're in an organization that's large enough that you have a head of risk, you
Yeah.
should also be talking to your head of risk about this too.
Yeah.
And uh, this is not a shameless plug for what we do, but this is exactly why we're here and why we exist.
Yeah.
And you know, I would love it if we didn't have to do what we do at scale, but this is the reason why we have to do what we do at scale. And this is
Yeah.
why Cole and I do what we do on a daily basis because we're so committed to making sure that everybody has an opportunity to work in a safe workplace. And
Yeah.
so, if you want to learn more about what we do, how we can help you identify these things, send us a comment on LinkedIn. We're tagged on all of this in LinkedIn. Send an email to sales@fama.io. Go to our website, fama.io, fill out demo request form, and maybe you'll get to talk to the other Amy. right? Who is on our sales team, who's awesome, or Avi or Anthony, and they can talk to you a little bit about this because I think like if you're thinking about, hey, what's my plan for 2026? What are the things that I need to be aware of? What's going on? Um, if there's one thing that I think you need to be investing in this year that's going to ensure that you're reducing risk and also at the same time increasing quality of hire, you're reducing your cost per hire, right? Because you're not ending up having to remove somebody who you thought was a good hire. Um, for such a small amount of money, you are getting so much reassurance
Yeah.
that the people that you're bringing into your organization or the people you have in your organization are not
Yeah.
exposing you to this level of risk. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Joe, just gonna end there on this. And we'll go on to the next thing because we always have things. We have things that are serious, but we always have things that are a little bit funny. And what I'm thinking about funny, Micole, is the barista story,
Yes.
which is like
Oh,
ridiculous.
it was so gross, Amy. It was so gross.
Now, I
It's
didn't see this, but after this description,
oh,
I'm going to go after this and I'm going to go look this up. And I'm sure that our
I'll
listeners
send
are
you
going to
the
do it too.
link. I'll send you the link. Yeah, no, it was disgusting. So yeah, I'll just go into what happened. So a Chinese milk tea chain, Chingy, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm not, but they had to legitimately close a location, like a store location, and fire an employee because the employee was caught on a viral video using her hands to make the drink. And also, it came
I
out
don't even
after
know.
that.
Is it hot? Was it hot or cold?
No, it was cold. It was like an ice. It was like an iced coffee essentially. And
Yeah.
then they had like their hands in it, mixing it. It was so disgusting. It was so gross, Amy. And then also, it turned out that the ingredients were like leftover ingredients from somebody else's drink. It was like all kinds of gross. It was so gross. It was disgusting. And a customer like recorded this, like her like fully like and then handing it over and the company was like I don't even like this is disgusting like they came out and said we have machines that are supposed to do this, why was she even doing this, like they don't even know, and so they had to shut the entire store down, retrain people, clean everything, and then reopen.
Like there are no words. Like I will say that, you know, I've never had the opportunity to work in like the food service area, right? But even as a person who doesn't work in food service, but just has maybe like common sense, right? Or, you know, I mean, I
Would
cook.
never, would
I
never,
would never put my hands
never.
in my own drink like that. You know, like not to mix it, not to do anything. I mean, the only thing I could even think of is if, God forbid, I dropped something in my drink and then I needed to get it out, but then I wouldn't finish drinking it. I don't even
But you wouldn't hand it over to a customer. Like,
know. No, that's what I'm saying. Like this is just so wild. And by the way, okay, so let's like bring this all back. So now this gets posted on social media, right? Now granted, this is over in China. So, you know, for our audience that's primarily based in the US and in North America, you know, you're probably not going to come across this particular person online. But however, there are so many
so
instances,
many.
whether it's
Yeah.
all those DoorDash drivers that we were having that whole craze of
Oh,
DoorDash
yeah.
drivers doing
Yeah.
ridiculous things,
100%.
right? Um, you know, anytime you have an employee that's doing things for the public or in the public space, this is an opportunity for them to be recorded and for that to be posted
Yeah.
online, right?
Yeah.
And create a viral moment. And
Oh,
so,
yeah.
you know, I think it's about like, hey, do you want to hire this person again? Or at least you want to be aware because if you're hiring the viral tea stir with her hands and you're in a food service industry, chances are that's going to negatively impact your business. Like I mean, the likelihood is there. And if you're not checking that, you may end up in this kind of a situation. I don't know. Like this is again, like it
I
goes up with like the police officers doing um
oh yeah, the
OnlyFans videos while they're
OnlyFans.
in duties,
Oh.
and they're it was like I just like yeah. I
Yeah, like even if you make your drink like that at home, like you don't serve that to anyone.
I feel like, we just went from something like super, super serious that I want everyone to take serious, but then to this, and I will say, right, like the theater of the absurd in what we do on a monthly
Oh
basis.
my God.
I'm always here for this. I'm always here for this, and I hope like our listeners are too. I'm surprised we didn't see anything about Christmas parties. That was my shocker when we were doing this, and the team was pulling all of the data on this, is that we did not see any holiday party social media craziness happen, or at least it just hasn't
M-
come out yet.
Maybe we haven't seen them yet.
That's what yeah, yeah.
Yet. Maybe we'll see. We'll see when we come back for February.
So now we're going to continue our globe trotting and we're
Yes.
going to bring it over to the UK where
Yes.
we had this really interesting issue with a contestant of The Apprentice in the UK. So, Micole,
Former
what happened
contestant.
here?
Yeah. So okay, so it a medical doctor who was practicing medicine just happens to be on BBC's version of The Apprentice a couple years ago. But in his social media history, he's got several different posts where he's think like women back to the kitchen and why are like and racist comments and Holocaust denial and all this guy hates everyone. He doesn't like anyone, and he's now under investigation by the General Medical Council Tribunal because they're like, how can if this is what he believes and this is what he's publicly saying out to the entire world, how is he going to be a fair and partial doctor to all kinds of people who may come to his practice? And if we talk all the time about patterns of behavior and how online behavior has real world consequences, this doctor also turns out was writing sick notes for patients while he was suspended. His license was suspended. And so now he's under additional investigations um, for different types of compliance and other risks involved in the medical space, because he wasn't just saying that he doesn't believe certain people are human and deserve the same rights. He's also showing uh, bad judgment in terms of when he's able to legally practice medicine and when he's not. And
You know what I
so,
think?
yeah,
You know what I think is really interesting here is you've got, over in the UK, it's the medical tribunal that decides whether or not you can
yeah,
practice, right? Because, being a doctor, it's just not about the education. You have to be
right,
licensed, and there's people who weigh in on whether or not
right.
you can hold a license. And I think the interesting part is you now have this governing body that is saying, we're reviewing your social media posts and we're taking that into consideration on whether or
Yeah,
not we think that your behavior warrants you to have the behavior that's becoming of a doctor, right?
right,
And how can that behavior negatively impact your ability to practice medicine? So I think like at a
right.
really high level, this is something that we're seeing where people are starting to take what's happening online
Yeah,
and making judgments about how someone's online behavior is going to affect their ability to perform in the offline world. And
yeah.
this is just the continuation of a trend that we're not going to see go away, especially
No,
because we've got, two things. One, people spend more time online than they do offline. And then number two,
right.
we talk about this a lot, the percent of the workforce now that's digital natives. And, if that's a new term for you, all that means is it's somebody who was born after the internet was the internet. So they've been
Yeah,
online pretty much all their lives. So, there's an increase of not just activity that's happening online and where people spend their time, but then also the depth and breadth and length of time that you have to look at somebody's pattern of behavior. So, this is something we're just going to continue to see more of. And if, this
Yes.
is the first time that you're hearing about this or learning about this is why we're here, right? This is part of the
Right.
reason why we do this. So, now we have another doctor who's behaving poorly. If you're wanting to hire doctors and you're not aware of this, all of this would
Yeah.
not come up in a traditional screen. Um,
No, no,
unless
no.
unless he was convicted or had some kind of legal problem. And right now, that's not the case.
It's in limbo, right? Yeah,
Right.
right, exactly.
So right now, this person, can be easily hired somewhere, and the likelihood of this being like found out is small if
Right.
you're not screening their online activity. So,
Yep.
this is just more more of all of the things that we're seeing. And then I think like just to round it out, what we've been finding the last couple of weeks in the reports that we've been running is we're just seeing misconduct in financial services. So we have
Yes.
people in financial services behaving really poorly.
Yeah. Yeah, like food service and healthcare, financial services is also a regulated industry. And so, especially in places like the US and the UK, these industries are heavily regulated in terms of both financial misconduct and also now non-financial misconduct. And so, in one of the reports of a candidate, we found a lot of different posts, a pattern of posts, some of which were saying just general FUs to everybody. Some were saying mocking customers of the organization they were at, mocking readers of certain publications that are the audience of their company that they're at, and a representative of. In other cases, they also, and this is more serious, um, spoke about them being arrested for animal abuse. And so it just showed a pattern of behavior, of aggressiveness, of disrespect, of
Well, I think
and
even
and safety issues.
and I think too in this particular instance, disparaging
Yeah,
customers.
yeah,
I no matter the business that you're in, having somebody who's employed by you publicly posting and dropping F-bombs left and right against your customers.
right,
Nobody wants that. And especially in the financial services industry when,
right,
the value of an individual customer in many instances is so, so, so high.
right.
Um, so there was a lot going on in this particular report. And, if you just took one of these instances outside of the legal around the animal cruelty, putting that
Yeah,
aside, if you took maybe one of these instances or two of these instances and you looked at them in isolation, some of them maybe you wouldn't be too happy with it. Maybe it wouldn't be the best thing, right? Maybe you would probably have a conversation with somebody about it, and
right.
and you may decide to offer them employment. The difference in this particular situation is when you see the volume
Yeah,
and choices that are being made, you can make you know, a determination that, what is the likelihood and what are the chances that I'm going to be on the receiving end. My company's going to be
right,
on the receiving end of this
right.
kind of behavior because there's such a pattern of behavior. And I think
Yeah,
too, I think the violence and the threats is something
yeah,
really important. We saw this a lot last year with our misconduct report that came out that,
yeah,
people were starting to move from not just saying things, but acting on it at a higher
yeah,
rate. And so
yeah,
I think like that should be definitely a warning sign because we know that we're
yeah,
seeing an increase of people going from I'm just saying that I'm going to do this to actually taking action on it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, anyway, this is where we are for the beginning of the year. It's going to be an
Yeah.
interesting 2026. And we're going to keep coming to you. We're going to make sure that we can try and get ahead of things so you're aware. That's our commitment
Yeah.
to you this year.
Yeah.
Just like we talked in the beginning, we want to be able to keep you ahead of what's
Yeah.
going on so you know and you can take preventative measures to make sure that when it does happen, you've got a plan, you've already thought about it, or you've already mitigated that risk. So that's
Yeah.
what we're here for. And I'm Amy Warren.
And I'm Micole Garatti, and we talk about misconduct so you can avoid it.
See everybody next time. Bye.